Won't be surprised if my man didn't propose yet.
Yeah.
And I'm coming to the wedding, Freeze. I'm your best man, boy. I thought about you this weekend.
So you know you're opening the door for me to speak back, right?
Of course, come on.
Uh-oh. Showdown.
Ice got extremely sensitive on the Joe Budden podcast. In the most recent episode of the JBP, you could tell Ice was bothered. He was visibly annoyed. And listen to this, it all kicked off when Flip started joking about Ice's relationship. We already know Miss and Peace is a touchy, off-limits topic for Ice. He clearly doesn't like her name being brought up at all. And Flip kept poking the bear, bringing up marriage rumors and all that extra talk.
To give us
He had to find something.
a 5-minute monologue how he love his girl and how you gonna do something nice. Watch it.
And Ice didn't just react, he issued a straight-up warning. He said if you want to play, we can all get ill. Basically telling Flip he was willing to take it there. Now hold up, I think Ice was overreacting, and it felt like he was being protected with a stand back, don't touch him type of energy. I thought this was a podcast, and it honestly just proves that Ice is still the most sensitive person on the pod, even right now. Plenty of people have told me before that I bully Ice with my commentary, which is wild because how do you bully someone just by talking about what we all see? But anyway, folks kept saying I was being too hard on him and blowing things way out of proportion. But I've always felt like this was the underlying tone of Ice's entire run on the show. He gets handled with kid gloves. So much so that Joe will say things like, Ice is a good guy. Ice has been there for me during tough times. Everything gets praised except his actual podcasting. And what you saw in this moment was that dynamic playing out in real time. Joe even added fuel to the fire by joking that Ice had Flip backing down.
You down that fast? You did.
No,
Stop. Damn.
I said say something. No, you stop.
And he said, yo, you opening the door.
I said,
and boy.
Now, is that really fair when Joe Budden is always the one shielding Ice while dogpiling on everybody else? Imagine being on that podcast where people jump on you non-stop, but the second you say something about Ice, here comes Joe, Captain Save a Bro, either backing him up or making your joke seem invalid. That doesn't really sit right, especially since Joe has built an entire career off making the people around him uncomfortable. But when it comes to Ice, suddenly that energy disappears. And I don't think that's right, especially for a show that thrives on poking insecurities. Yet somehow, the most insecure person gets a pass. It's also not fair that Flip, because of his past mistakes, can't even really go at Ice anymore. He has to bite his tongue. That's actually one of the main critiques the Joe Budden podcast has thrown at Flip, that he messes up the chemistry, that he doesn't let people work together naturally. And that just isn't right. So now Flip has to shut up, fall back, and play it safe. And you can see it. The suspension, the demotion, all of it is clearly affecting him. Flip is moving mad small, mad quiet, and honestly a little uncomfortable. Man, I can't believe I'm even watching Flip like this. This is not the Flip I'm used to at all. This is wild. He's acting like that kid who's scared to fail the class, like the teacher just warned him, one more slip up and you're in summer school. That's exactly how Flip is moving right now. Then another moment popped off when Flip told the pod to leave Ice alone. And in that moment, Flip was genuinely trying to keep things cool, but Ice took it as a slight, like Flip was low-key nudging him and belittling him by saying, yo, get up off Ice.
Burgers or some shit.
50 billion burgers daily.
Leave Freeze alone, nigga.
Oh my God.
You ain't gotta defend me, my nigga. I'm cool. Don't tell niggas leave Freeze alone. If they want to joke, let them joke.
That's right. Got your thick skin.
In Ice's mind, only Joe is allowed to do that. So I guess the reason Flip did it is because that's one of his ways of throwing a slick insult. And let's be real, that's exactly how Flip likes to play his little mind games. But listen, time will tell whether Flip eventually snaps on Ice or just snaps on somebody, period. That moment between Flip and Mark was actually way more important than people realize, because now both of them seem hesitant to step into another tense situation on the show. And that leads me to another tangent I need to get into. Why does Mark treat Ice with kid gloves? He barely ever goes at him. And when I actually sat down with Mark, he had a whole explanation for why he doesn't.
Every year that y'all have worked here.
Appreciate it. It's
Yes.
not true.
Just for the record.
Yeah.
I know we paint me as evil.
not true.
No, I've got one every year.
Evils.
That's also not true.
Well, not for you, Freeze.
Well, it's not true.
Which his statement.
How many years you ain't get one?
One.
Well, yeah, I'll live with that.
Now, that explanation didn't make any sense to me, especially when he said the jokes just don't land on Ice. In my opinion, Mark is a straight-up cold office tactician. He already scanned the room, in this case the Joe Budden podcast, and decided Joe doesn't joke on ice. So I'm not touching that because I don't want to upset the boss, and whatever the boss cosigns, I'll cosign too. Because from what I've seen, Mark Lamont Hill has openly said he can be a jerk, an a-hole, and that he doesn't mind cracking those kinds of jokes. So why do those jokes suddenly stop when it comes to ice? There has to be a reason, and that feeds right into my theory that Mark is a calculated office player, a backroom mover who knows exactly how to shift his energy. This is the same guy who, let's be real, you saw in that commercial. It basically looked like the Mark Lamont Hill show. That alone is wild to me, but we'll get deeper into the commercial in another video. Now, later in the episode, Ice has another moment. This one isn't really about Flip, but it shows Ice's awareness, or lack thereof. They start talking about bonuses, and Joe says he gives the cast a bonus every single year, and Ice immediately calls it out, saying, "No, you didn't. You skipped us one year." And I couldn't help but think to myself, man, you must have been straight up trash that year, which is probably why you didn't get a bonus. And I can't help but notice that the year they didn't get a bonus had to be before Flip and Melissa Ford showed up, because them brothers were ass, like a very specific type of ass. I know a lot of people are nostalgic for the Ish and Ice era, but to me, that was easily the worst era of the podcast. It was so bad that Joe ended up bringing in 2 new people, and that run was short-lived. We're talking maybe 2 years, max. And throughout that entire stretch, you could see Joe getting visibly frustrated. I remember those episodes clearly. I might honestly go back one day and pull those clips just to show how annoyed Joe was with Ish and Ice. Now, I want to wrap this video up by circling back to something I said earlier. Ice is still the kid in the plastic bubble. You can't joke on him. He can joke, throw shots, and even pretend he's not sensitive or that he's grown, but the rules don't apply both ways. And I know that has to sting the other cast members. I know Imani is sitting there like, damn, I can't even really go in on him. I know Melissa Ford, when she was still there, was probably thinking, why does Ice get all this special treatment? And people love to say Ice doesn't joke on anybody. That's not true.